The future of digital fund management and asset servicing is here. Leveraging on Axelar Network's industry-leading cross-chain interoperability technology,
Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video breakdown. In today's video, we're going to be doing a deep research dive on the Axelar network. So if you all enjoy these types of video breakdowns, we're going to be going over video clips, panel discussions, and a buttload of recent developments surrounding the Axelar network. Do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Now, keep in mind that none of this is financial advice. I'm simply showing you guys why I am bullish long-term on the digital asset Axelar. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and buy or sell said digital asset. So with that being said, let's dive into today's video breakdown. Our key vocabulary today that I really want you guys to pay attention to is going to be interoperable. All right. We're going to start off by setting the tone to today's video breakdown, listening to a Ripple representative go on to mention how the future of the digital asset landscape revolves around interoperable infrastructure.
The future of digital assets depends on the creation of interoperable infrastructure that connects various platforms and ecosystems.
That was Fiona M. from Ripple at the SFF 2024 FinTech Festival. So with that in mind, setting the tone for today's video breakdown, we're going to come over here to a fundamental piece that Ripple had just recently posted February 25th, 2025 to kick this off. Institutional DeFi on the XRP ledger. What's live and what's next? We have consistently been telling you guys that DeFi is going to continue to ramp up across multiple different blockchains, and the Xrpl is leading the charge surrounding institutional DeFi adoption. Now, this fundamental piece goes on to read, institutional adoption of blockchain-powered finance has accelerated in the past year, with tokenized real-world assets, stablecoins, and decentralized liquidity markets as a major driver of growth. Yet, for this transformation to scale, financial institutions need a robust, compliance-focused, and interoperable blockchain infrastructure, one that can support digital assets, seamless cross-border transactions, and institutional-grade decentralized finance. And you guys saw a Ripple representative sitting on stage with the co-founder of Axelar talking about interoperable infrastructures.
Delighted today to bring the experts to you, and we'll be discussing the various attributes, benefits, challenges of building that interoperable ecosystem.
Back to this fundamental piece, there is a lot of good information on DeFi developments on this piece from Ripple. However, I want to really focus your attention on the Xrpl EVM sidechain. So it says here, the Xrpl EVM sidechain serves as a complementary role to the XRP ledger, but is not a replacement for mainnet programmability. Set for mainnet launch in Q2 2025, which is upcoming very fast, the Xrpl EVM sidechain offers great opportunity to attract EVM ecosystem developers to the Xrpl ecosystem. It can also be used to launch protocols that are not currently possible on the Xrpl, especially ones that are already written in Solidity, or specifically require the EVM. This bridge solution, using a cross-chain approach, is useful if a project requires an alternative for programmability. Looking ahead for the future, as tokenization and decentralized finance continues to evolve, Xrpl is positioned itself as a leader in regulated on-chain finance. I repeat, a leader in regulated on-chain finance, which I really like, with deep liquidity, compliance-friendly features, and seamless institutional integration. The next phase of institutional DeFi will be built on the Xrpl. And do you all remember what the co-founder of Axelar said in this video breakdown just 2 months ago?
So Axelar, over the past, I think, a year or two, has been integrated with some of the biggest protocols in the space. Uniswap is using Axelar for cross-chain governance on a couple of chains. We had an integration with Lido, where they have their asset stake ETH, which is the biggest asset in DeFi, $30 billion asset, and they wanted to bridge it to the BNB chain and to the Cosmos ecosystem, and they were utilizing a solution that was secured by Axelar under the hood for both. One very exciting integration that's coming up is with Xrpl. And a lot of people are familiar with Xrpl, the company. Many people are familiar also with Xrpl, which is the XRP ledger, where the XRP currency resides. And they have a new initiative where they're launching a new EVM chain to bring DeFi to the Ripple ecosystem. They have a new stablecoin, and they're going to be using Axelar to bridge over XRP from the XRP ledger to the XRP ledger sidechain. It's an EVM sidechain, so that people can use it for gas to use the chain. So anyone who's going to be using DeFi on the EVM sidechain of Xrpl will have to use Axelar to pay for gas. And we're talking about one of the biggest assets in the space. Again, $200 billion asset in SDV. And to my knowledge, that's the biggest asset that picked the canonical interoperability solution to bridge to another ecosystem, and they picked Axelar.
So that is a massive statement. Again, going back to this document where they're talking about the EVM sidechain, this bridge solution, and then they're talking about the next phase of institutional DeFi will be built on the XRPL. And you just heard the co-founder of Axelar mention that anybody that wants to use the XRPL EVM sidechain will need to utilize Axelar to pay gas fees. And that is going to take us to this fundamental report, which we will full circle towards from February 25th, 2025, discussing and talking about Axelar's Cobalt upgrade. However, we will come back to that. I will save that for last. I want to dive into some other ongoing fundamental developments that Axelar and Interop Labs, the developer of Axelar, have been a part of. So this was posted by Jason Rose. I'm not going to butcher his last name. He is the head of legal and policy at Interop Labs. Interop Labs, obviously, of course, the core developer of Axelar. Jason said here that he had the opportunity to present Connection Without Custody, Axelar Network and Multi-Chain Security last week at the Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust Interoperability Workshop to a select room of folks thinking about the difficult question around enterprise interoperability. Keep in mind, the key vocabulary word today is interoperability. He also spoke on a panel titled Open Discussion on Interoperable Across Protocols alongside Nick Dukoff at the Solana Foundation, Simons at Layer Zero. That's going to play an important role in just a second. Another individual from Accenture, another individual from Chainlink Labs, and was moderated by Hart Montgomery from the Linux Foundation. What I find interesting about that is in this same panel discussion, the co-founder of Axelar here mentions that they are working in partnership with the Linux Foundation.
Briefly add to Daniela's point, there is so much competition also in the blockchain space, and there's not that many credibly neutral organizations that can bring competitors together. So I hope you can do something similar for the blockchain space as well, and we're already seeing signs of that. So excited to be collaborating with the Linux Foundation. But when we're talking,
excited to be collaborating with the Linux Foundation. And what are they talking about on stage? Building interoperable infrastructure to, again, scale this DeFi, crypto, and digital asset ecosystem, right? The devil's in the details. They tell you this stuff in advance. And now you can see them where they're sitting in on these closed door meetings talking about these interoperable solutions for the connection of the future digital asset ecosystem. Now, he goes on to say, interesting to see the different perspectives on approaches to interoperability during the two-day event, and specifically the ways in which banks and institutions are approaching the topic. A lot of new ideas around requirements and standards surfaced. The one consistency, much of this space relies on regulatory clarity. Just to show you guys a couple of pictures from the event, here is the closed door roundtable that they had discussing and talking about these topics. Moving on, this was the HederaCon event 2025 that took place main stage that they live streamed just yesterday. As a matter of fact, I tapped into this and this blew my mind to hear. Listen to this representative go on to talk about bridges and oracles and the bridging solutions that Hedera has chosen.
On the bridges side, these are going to be our roads coming into our village. We have leaders Layer Zero and Axelar. They both move messages across chain, but they do it a little bit differently. For instance, Layer Zero relies on relayers to listen to smart contract events and then sign a multi-signature scheme to pass that message to the destination chain. And Axelar also passes messages from a source chain to a destination chain, but they rely on an intermediary chain where verifiers vote on smart contract events that they've seen, and they reach consensus in that way on their intermediary chain before passing it to the destination chain. So just to give you an idea, in January alone, we saw $24 billion coming across over 20 networks on the bridges side. And what's interesting about that number is that a quarter of it was an exodus from slower, more expensive chains, because in the past, retail users that didn't have a lot of money, let's say they had $25, for example, to buy an asset, but the transaction fee is $25, maybe it's $100, they're hoping for a 2x or a 5x just in order to break even. and they're just doing one transaction. But what we're seeing in this exodus is that users are coming to cheaper, faster chains, and they're able to do a whole myriad of DeFi actions like staking, unstaking, different yield strategies, Web3 gaming, and things of that nature.
He talks about the bridging solutions that they have chosen are Layer 0 and Axelar. And if we go back to that closed door panel discussion that I just showed you guys, who else was sitting in on this panel discussion? Layer 0, right? I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. These are the people building out the future financial infrastructure. They're doing it right in front of your face. And this is all information that the mainstream is not going to cover and bring to your attention. So I thought that one was very interesting. Now we're going to head over here to another fundamental development from February 19th, 2025. And when you look at that, our key vocabulary pops up again, interoperability. We have it highlighted here in purple. To read this, it goes on to say, a digital asset-focused investment firm today announced the launch of the Canary Xrpl Trust, a private investment vehicle providing institutional and accredited investors with secure exposure to AXL, the native cryptocurrency that powers the Axelar network. Keep in mind, I told you guys from the very first fundamental that we covered, we're going to full circle to the Cobalt upgrade that the Axelar network just had. This is going to be very important because, again, remember that document from Ripple, the fundamental piece talks about institutional DeFi adoption. This is another report physically showing you guys that now institutions have access to Axelar. It's all going to play and go hand in hand when we full circle this. Following the successful launch of the Canary HBAR Trust, keep in mind, this says HBAR, and we just saw an HBAR representative talk about how they chose Axelar as a bridge solution, okay? I'm telling you guys, this stuff is clutch, right? Nobody's piecing together this information for you guys the way that we are here at CYPRX, so smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Following the successful launch of the Canary HBAR Trust, this new offering expands Canary Capital's leadership in providing institutional-grade crypto investment opportunities that extend beyond Bitcoin and ETH. Axelar Network has emerged as a critical player in Web3 interoperability. Keep in mind, they were also on stage with the Linux Foundation, Ripple, and many other representatives talking about building out interoperable infrastructure for institutional DeFi and crypto adoption, delivering an internet of blockchains that securely connects the world's Web3 and financial infrastructure. With Axelar driving some of the most advanced interoperable solutions in Web3, we see Axelar as a significant opportunity for institutional investors to gain exposure to the technology underpinning the next generation of blockchain connectivity, said Chief Executive Officer at Canary Capital. As institutional demand for crypto exposure grows, we remain committed to providing structured, secure, and innovative investment vehicles that align with the future of blockchain adoption. In 2024, Axelar saw a 71% increase in active users, cumulative transaction volumes reaching 10 billion, and the successful integration of major institutional partners, including Apollo Global Management, Deutsche Bank, which we'll come back to, and JP Morgan. And in early 2025, the Axelar network became the 11th largest blockchain network with a total value lock surpassing 1 billion. Axelar is expected to drive further expansion, linking additional Web3 ecosystems such as Axelar, Hedera, Stellar, Ton, Soy, Solana, and Bitcoin. As interoperability continues to shape the blockchain ecosystem, Axelar is proving to be an essential infrastructure layer, said Josh O, portfolio manager at Canary Capital. Right here it says Axelar is proving to be an essential infrastructure layer, right? We believe the long-term potential of Axelar's tech and its role in enabling seamless cross-chain interactions, making Axelar a compelling asset for forward-thinking investors. I want to come back to this mention of Deutsche Bank, okay? So once we go back to that, before we jump into that Deutsche Bank connection right there, the Blockchain Association just posted this on February 20th, 2025, another major development from the Axelar and Interop Labs ecosystem, okay? We're excited to welcome 16 new members to the Blockchain Association this month, our largest single month growth on record, bringing total members to 114. These organizations and leaders join us at an exciting time as we advance priorities for digital asset industry in Washington. And keep in mind, Axelar has consistently been mentioned as the network building out interoperable infrastructure for this digital asset ecosystem, right? Then you can see here, Interop Labs also posted something about this, mentioning that the BA is set to shape crypto policy that ensures that the blockchain space is moving in the right direction. Now, because we're on the topic of Interop Labs and because this fundamental piece from Canary Capital mentioned Deutsche Bank, if we head over to the Interop Labs LinkedIn profile, this is very interesting. And I just wanted to highlight this because it mentioned the Deutsche Bank connection. Let's just dive into this because this is a very interesting video clip right here. So it says, Want to learn how Deutsche Bank is leading the way with interoperable on-chain asset management with the Monetary Authority of Singapore Project Guardian initiative supported by Interop Labs, Axelar Network, and Memento Blockchain, right? Keep in mind, I just showed you guys updated fundamentals, how Axelar is sitting in discussing and talking about banks and institutions and how they're approaching interoperable infrastructure in closed door meetings. And we've already seen Axelar partner with major financial institutions in major projects like Project Guardian, where you can see here, this is back from May 14th, 2024. Deutsche Bank joins Project Guardian to explore asset tokenization applications. As part of the asset and wealth management workstream, the bank will test an open architecture and interoperable blockchain platform to service tokenized and digital funds. And if we come over here to this little tiny video clip that was posted on the Interop Labs LinkedIn profile, let's just play this real quick, take a second and listen.
Project Dama 2, a transformative, multi-chain digital fund servicing solution to unlock new fund innovations and distribution at scale. Deutsche Bank, driving innovation as part of the Monetary Authority of Singapore's Project Guardian, collaborates with Memento Blockchain and Interop Labs on the minimal viable product. Memento Blockchain, using ZK Sync's cutting-edge zero-knowledge technology, has created Memento ZK Chain, a powerful, secure, and scalable blockchain. With features like soul-bound token for investor management and fund compliance, Paymaster to simplify gas fee payments using traditional payment rails, custom-built Explorer for managed transaction privacy and regulatory oversight, and built-in smart contracts to service digital fund life cycles with a central view into asset servicing books of records across chains. The future of digital fund management and asset servicing is here. Leveraging on Axelar Network's industry-leading cross-chain interoperability technology, Memento ZK Chain can connect to over 60 blockchain ecosystems, offering scalability and flexibility for global integration.
So there it is right there. I just wanted you guys to hear that they are leveraging Axelar's interoperability technology. And this is all from the Project Guardian initiative and just proves that Axelar is playing a massive role in this digital transformation of the future financial infrastructure. Now, to continue down an interesting rabbit hole on Interop Labs, going over to their profile on X, I noticed that they were only following 2 profiles. So if you click on those 2 profiles, of course, they're following the Axelar network, but they are also following NASA. Now, I wanted to try to dive down a little bit deeper of a rabbit hole, but because of the length of today's video breakdown, I'll save it. If we just go over to Google and do a quick NASA interoperability search, there are so many fundamental pieces that NASA has put out about interoperability. I find it interesting how Interop Labs is only following 2 accounts, NASA and Axelar Network. Now, if we come over here, this is an entire white paper going over a deep dive into interoperability and its implications for LunaNet communications from NASA. And it's a whole entire document talking about interoperability and connectivity, right? Now, interestingly enough, what I found is that NASA, you come over here to this fundamental piece from 2025, is connected to Cardano. It says right down here, this is again a piece from 2025. NASA has code running on Cardano today. I bet some of you did not know that, said Fred G., the CEO of the Cardano Foundation. Now, right after I found this fundamental piece, I went over to the Axelar Network's X profile, and this is the co-founder of the Axelar network discussing and talking about the benefits that Axelar could bring to the Cardano ecosystem, right? Take a second and just listen to this.
Today, Axelar is the only decentralized interoperability solution in the market. Every other solution out there is fully custodial, and we're connecting 69 chains. But let's talk a little bit about how Axelar can benefit the Cardano ecosystem.
So I just thought that I'd make that interesting connection. There's nothing solidified there. However, I just find it interesting how Axelar is driving the most advanced interoperable solutions in the digital asset ecosystem. You have Interop Labs, who is the developer of the Axelar network, only follows 2 accounts, right? NASA and Axelar. NASA has a whole bunch of documentation on interoperability. There's this fundamental piece that talks about how NASA has running code on Cardano. And then you have a fundamental piece from January 2025 of the Cardano Summit, where the co-founder of Axelar spoke talking about how Cardano can benefit with the XLR network. I don't know, maybe I'm just reaching here, but I thought that I'd bring that to everyone's attention in case something in the future pops up, considering that XLR is attempting to bring more chains into the XLR network. Now, this is another fundamental piece that just goes to show ongoing developments in the XLR ecosystem from February 12th, 2025. And it reads how Klima DAO leverages XLR's interchain token services to scale tokenized carbon markets. Klima DAO has been at the forefront of revolutionizing the voluntary carbon market, facilitating over $4 billion in total transaction volume. With a vision of scaling the carbon credit ecosystem into $10 trillion plus of a market, Klima DAO has continuously innovated to make real-world asset-backed carbon credits more accessible, transparent, and liquid. However, before adopting XLR's interchain token services, Klima DAO faced a common challenge in the blockchain space: fragmentation. Carbon credits were isolated with specific ecosystems, limiting liquidity, accessibility, and adoption across different blockchain ecosystems. This restricted market growth and made it difficult for institutions and individuals to participate seamlessly. Now enters XLR ITS, a solution that unlocks automated cross-chain accessibility, i.e. interoperability, allowing Klima DAO's carbon credits and governance tokens to move seamlessly between networks without compromising security, compliance, or utility, which is massive. Scrolling down here to finish off the rest of this fundamental, it says, by making tokenized carbon credits available across the entire blockchain ecosystem, Klima DAO sets a new standard for how real-world backed assets should function in an interchain world. The future of carbon markets is cross-chain. With XLR's ITS powering cross-chain transactions, Klima DAO removes friction, unlocks liquidity, and creates a more unified, accessible, voluntary carbon market. This means a future where institutions engage in sustainability initiatives across ecosystems, where retail users can seamlessly participate in DeFi-powered carbon markets, and real-world assets are valued based on their impact and utility, not limited by chain-specific constraints. And this is, again, a connection with XLR network. So let's full circle all this now that you have a gist on how XLR is providing the most advanced interoperability solutions, going back to that fundamental piece where we've pretty much now shown you guys that XLR is helping build out the interoperable infrastructure to connect institutional DeFi and institutional adoption of digital assets on a massive scale. Let's talk about this Cobalt update. So this was a fundamental piece from February 25th, 2025. The path to infinite interop, Cobalt upgrade hardens AXL tokenomics and expands utility. The latest XLR network upgrade, Cobalt, marks a new era for secure interoperability at scale, including a fee-burning mechanism and expanded XLR token utility. To read some of this, it says, the Cobalt upgrade is live, sending XLR transaction fees to a burn address, strengthening tokenomics. Instead of incentivized inflation, newly connected blockchains contribute XLR into a reward pool used to compensate verifiers that secure each new blockchain connection. With this upgrade, XLR supports unlimited blockchain connections. Upcoming integrations include Monad, Solana, Stellar, TON, and the XRP ledger, which I just showed you guys. It says right here, they're attempting to bridge the next phase of institutional DeFi being built out on the Xrpl. You already know institutions now also have access to XLR, the digital asset, and XLR has already played a role in projects that have involved banks exploring asset tokenization and interoperability solutions, right? Keep all of that in mind because that is important. The XLR network has completed an upgrade to v1.2.1 following token holder approval in an on-chain governance vote. The upgrade, codenamed Cobalt, implements new XLR tokenomics, sending network gas fees to a burn address. New blockchains are already connecting via interchain amplifier, which expands XLR utility as new integration pulls XLR from the existing supply to reward verifiers. The combination results in tokenomics and token utility designed to scale the XLR network securely and permissionlessly to an infinite number of blockchain connections. That is a massive statement right there. Now XLR is an engine for permissionless new connections at a global scale. And XLR utility grows with each new blockchain that is connected. You can see some of the upcoming chains in the pipeline include Stellar, the Xrpl, and Solana. Like most blockchains, XLR initially rewarded token holders by distributing transaction fees paid in XLR tokens. All transactions that go through the XLR protocol use the XLR network underneath. gas fees are abstracted, with users paying once in the source chain token, which is converted by Axelar gas service into Axelar and any other network gas tokens required to complete the cross-chain transaction end to end. With Cobalt now, Axelar gas fees are still being abstracted, but instead of flowing to token holders, 98% of the fees are sent to a burn address. 2% of the fees are still sent to the community proposals grant pool as before. This mechanism was initially proposed by Axelar Foundation back in October 2023. And over time, what is massive about this is it should counterbalance the network inflation rate, which is 4.8% as of February 2025. Which will potentially lead to a deflationary state of the network. Now, why is that important to break this down so that way you guys easily understand this? I said here on X, with the Cobalt upgrade, 98% of XLR transaction fees are burned, meaning those tokens are permanently removed from circulation. Meanwhile, new blockchains, as an example, Solana, Stellar, Xrpl, will have to lock up existing XLR to reward verifiers who secure their connections. This setup reduces the overall supply of XLR while increasing its demand as more chains grow. This means less supply plus more demand equals possible bullish price action for XLR in the long term. And I gave you guys a really good visual perspective on this so nobody is confused on all of the jargon that we just read over, because I kind of nerded out there for a second, right? So this is absolutely massive and just goes to show, again, how, in my personal opinion, XLR is going to play a massive role in the future moving forward. Not only that, but is extremely bullish considering that we are trading below 45 cents as of time of recording this particular video breakdown, which is significantly discounted from XLR's all-time high. Keep in mind that none of this is financial advice. I'll leave you guys here with this statement from the co-founder of XLR. He said, "We are tokenizing interoperability. With this community-approved upgrade, XLR is the only interoperability network with scalable tokenomics powering decentralized infrastructure for a globally connected Web3 ecosystem." As always, many blessings to you guys, just attempting to bring you all information that the mainstream fundamental news outlets are never going to bring to your attention. If you guys ever want to access all of these fundamental video breakdowns, panel discussions, fundamentals that we go over in the CYPRX YouTube, and you want to conduct your own research, but you don't know where to access all this research, you can head over to CYPRXtrading.com. You can tap into our private Discord. I'm talking hundreds of fundamental breakdowns, PDFs, websites, documents, panel discussions, all from the world's largest leading industry experts that go relatively unnoticed to the mainstream. Tap in with us and conduct your own research. As always, be cognizant, be aware out there, and I'll see you all in the next video breakdown.